You know we love spooky things. This is why we fell in love with Michigan-based Lynn B Designs. When I popped the pumpkin spice all the things wax melt into my burner, my home was filled with the delicious buttery scent. Plus, there's the wide variety of gorgeous nail polishes with themes like Hocus Pocus and Pleasant Peninsula. All products are vegan and cruelty-free, and you can find monthly sales on Facebook and Instagram at Lynn B Designs. Head to lynbdesigns.store today. Again, that's LYNB designs.store.
We love them. We love you. It's great nail polish. It's the best I've ever used. Thanks.
Michiganders can be a superstitious bunch. We find all sorts of reasons to explain the world around us, sometimes pulling from science, sometimes tradition, and sometimes from our imaginations. What happens when we can't readily explain our experiences, and what happens when a ghost story gets out of hand? Do these legends stem entirely from fantasy, or are people seeing things no one can truly explain? I'm Krista K. Coburn.
And I'm Kay Gray. Welcome to Haunted Mitten.
We are headed way up north for this episode to the Queen City of the North, Marquette, Michigan, on the shores of the fierce, the beautiful Lake Superior.
Dun, dun, dun.
I love Lake Superior. We will be leaving out a couple of locations that will be included in future episodes. And we talked about the hauntings of North Michigan University already in season 2's episode, Haunted Universities and Colleges Part 2. But there is absolutely still plenty to talk about today.
It turns out Marquette is really haunted.
Extremely.
Marquette is the largest city in the Upper Peninsula with a population shy of 21,000. The French had been in the area in the early 17th century, but the village of Marquette was not founded until 1849 after Americans William Burt and Jacob Houghton, a name we know, discovered iron at nearby Teal Lake in 1844. It was first named That's not fair. Why do you give me the hard words? New Worcester. We're gonna go with the New England version, the New England way to pronounce things. New Worcester, after founder Amos Harlow's hometown, Worcester, Massachusetts. Fair enough. But on August 21st, 1850, the name was changed to honor French Jesuit missionary Jacques Marquette.
It's a lot younger than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I really expected the settlement to have started with the French, especially with having a French name like Marquette. You learn something new every day.
It's true. I didn't expect it to be as young as that. We start with possibly the oldest ghost story in Marquette. We found this story in the book Haunted Marquette, Ghost Stories from the Queen City by Tyler R. Tischler?
Maybe? I couldn't find how to pronounce it.
Okay. Sorry,
I'm sorry,
Tyler.
Internet. I tried.
Yeah. Sorry, Tyler. It's a fantastic read, though. The February 3rd, 1909 edition of the Mining Journal included an article with the following headline, Ghost Said to Walk South Marquette. It detailed how an apparition was seen emerging from the gates of the Rock Street Convent. It was so hideous that a woman and a young girl who saw it immediately fainted and needed to be taken to nearby homes. Another witness said,
I noticed a tall white figure covered from head to foot with something resembling a sheet standing in the old convent gate. I was on the opposite side of the street and stopped to look at the strange sight more closely. Just then, the figure started across the street towards me, and I started for home as fast as I could run, being too frightened to desire any further knowledge of what the specter might be or what it might want of me. God, I love how verbose people used to be 100 years ago. Who talks like that now?
Nobody. We don't have the time. A small band of young men assumed it was someone pulling a macabre prank, and decided to lie in wait for the jokester, but none showed, and they departed. The apparition was seen again, and the police were called, but again, no one manifested to be apprehended. Supposedly, the small footprints of a woman were found on the scene. Tischler couldn't find any recorded deaths in this fire, or the previous fire that destroyed 2 other buildings on the property.
Yeah, there's a lot of fire up north too, but everything was made of wood back then. So
yeah, I mean they have a lot of trees, so
right. I think this is kind of a funny story. The Mining Journal, I believe, is their newspaper as well,
Okay.
by the way, because mining was all they did.
What? Mining
Um,
in the UP?
Yeah, crazy.
Weird.
I just love that it was a newspaper article. It's so much fun. It makes me so happy.
I know.
But this fact that the young men just assumed it was a practical joker, it reminded me of the Hammersmith ghost, which people may or may not be familiar with, because this was in England, for one, in Hammersmith, England, go figure, in 1803.
Okay.
And it's a pretty, I would say, kind of infamous story. I had heard it before, but Simon Whistler does a really good summary of it on his show. I can't remember which show. He has a million. It's the Hammersmith Ghost Murder. It's Casual Criminalist. Okay. I like that one. If you like crime, true crime, Casual Criminalist is super fun because he's not American. So he takes an international look at crime. And the guy who writes the show is English, but he's living in Japan. So
it's so international.
Yeah, like if you've heard all the North American, Canadian stuff and you're bored, check out Casual Criminalist. You get a much more international view. East Asia is bonkers. Like, we didn't know that already.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, because it definitely just sounds like a guy pretending to be a ghost to just cause some fuckery. Like,
yeah. I mean, luckily no one was injured. That part of why the Hammersmith ghost is so famous is because someone was shot and killed.
Right.
After being mistaken for the ghost. So at least no one was killed. It was kind of an innocent prank,
right.
if that's what it was.
Like, two ladies fainted, but whatever.
Yeah, I think that was really funny. Like, a lady came across this ghost, saw it, fainted, had to be taken to a nearby home, and then like a girl comes by later, sees it, faints, and has to be taken to a nearby home.
I know.
Like, can you imagine someone coming up to your door with a woman in their arms and saying, "I'm sorry, can we use your home? This lady fainted in the street."
Right. And then you're like, yes, of course. Like, why did she faint? Like, what happened? And it's like, oh,
Right.
She saw a ghost. What?
Yeah. I think this would be a fun one to do, like a fictionalized short story.
Oh, that would be fun.
It would be, I think it'd be pretty amusing. But yeah, I wanted to start with that one because that was just such a fun little story. And it's a very short story. I mean, like, that's it.
Right.
But it wasn't, quote unquote solved.
No, because it looks just like the quote unquote ghost like disappeared, and that was it.
Yeah.
All right. Sure.
So that's, starting off with kind of a fun little odd story about Marquette.
Got wayward sheet ghosts.
Yeah. I love that it's looked like someone wearing a sheet.
I'll be honest, it probably was.
Yeah, I think the Hammersmith ghost might have actually been a guy in a sheet. Or a tablecloth or something like that.
That's all it took.
Yeah.
And now
we get a burial shroud.
And now we have videos and things of apparitions. Sorry, everybody. I have a dog behind me and she can see out the window. Therefore, she's going to bark. We have, these incredible videos of apparitions or UFOs or cryptids or whatever. And it's like fake. Yeah. But all it took then.
Yep.
Just a guy in a sheet.
Guy in a sheet.
Amazing. We're so skeptical these days.
We are. We've come a long way, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's good or bad. Now we jump to a related location that people often assume is haunted, a former orphanage. Because if you say orphanage, you think it's haunted.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately. Yeah. Oh, that was an orphanage? Duh, haunted.
Yeah, it's like sanitarium. Oh, that's clearly haunted.
Oh, that's haunted. Hospital, haunted.
Yep.
This one is specifically the Holy Family Orphanage, which in 2016 was converted to the Grandview Marquette Apartments. Yep, it's haunted. Orphanage to apartments, haunted.
Yeah, I love that they're converting all of these old buildings with dubious reputations into apartments.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah, apparently, because it's happened multiple times on this show.
The Holy Family Orphanage opened in 1915 and remained in operation until 1965. For some reason, the administration building remained open after the orphanage's closure until 1981, after which the building was abandoned. Reading from Wikipedia.
Initially, the facility accepted mostly children between 2nd and 8th grade, but later infants and older children were accepted as well. While it was intended originally to only serve white children, of course, some of its first residents included 60 Native American children transferred from a Catholic home named after St. Joseph of Assinines. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not Catholic. The Native American children had been placed in the Assinines home after being taken away from their parents to accommodate their integration into white culture, which is a privileged way of saying committed cultural genocide.
And it wasn't St. Joseph of Assisi?
This is what it says. That apparently actually is a town in the UP, or it was. And it was related to the convent from earlier.
Okay.
So.
Well, when I look up St. Joseph of Assinins, I get St. Joseph of Assassins. So
I'm assuming it's like Assinins or Assinines, or I really have no idea.
I don't know. Because like St. Joseph, normally it's St. Joseph of Assisi.
Yeah.
But this one is Assassins. I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, it is or was a small town in the UP as well.
Oh, okay.
And I have no idea how to pronounce. I tried to look, but it's hard to find a lot of these pronunciations because they're such small communities.
Oh yeah.
That the internet just doesn't care how to pronounce them.
No. You would have to physically go there and ask somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason we said it was related to the convent story is because the orphanage that the Native American children came from was first located at the location of the Rock Street Convent before moving to the location in whatever that word is.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was. There was a little, he goes into it more in the book.
Yeah.
So Marquette resident and author Tyler R. Tischler?
Sure.
We'll just go with that. Sorry, sir. Talks about this location extensively in his book, which again is Haunted Marquette Ghost Stories from the Queen City, which is available from our book list at bookshop.org/shop/hauntedmitten. I really loved this book, and I highly recommend it because he is not only an author, but he's a historian, and he's lived in the Marquette area like his whole life, and I think he's like a 3rd generation or something. But another book that includes this location is Ghosts of Michigan's Upper Peninsula by Jennifer Billick, which also has some great information. So if you're interested in the Marquette area, if you're interested in the UP, definitely pick these 2 books up.
Ghost stories didn't begin to circulate until after the building became abandoned. That's pretty par for the course.
Yep.
Urban legend says that a nun once beat a boy to death, then hid his body by burying it in Park Cemetery. Park is the Protestant cemetery, so I guess that was a better place to hide it than the Catholic cemetery, which you wouldn't want your murder victim in.
Yeah.
Another, just saying, yeah, we'll go next door to the Protestant one because they don't care. Another urban legend says that a girl snuck out when she wasn't supposed to and was locked out to teach her a lesson. The girl caught pneumonia and died. The nuns displayed her body as an example for the other children, which is fucking horrifying.
Yeah, the stories associated with this place are like kind of grotesque.
Yeah.
Like true child torture. But it's exactly those kinds of stories that people love telling each other.
Right.
So, and as Tischler points out in his book, the child's body would have been, quote unquote, displayed as part of the wake. They were Catholic, remember? So if this story is true, it likely became distorted over time or was just made up. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
About the, displayed their body as a example,
right, as a
like
warning to other kids.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, they had wakes back then.
Right.
We still have them today.
Right.
So local medium Tammy Krasick, interviewed by Tischler in his book, met a spirit named Mary who showed her what her life was like at the orphanage. Krasick says that Mary is the girl who was locked outside and died. And a girl named Mary Vessel did die of pneumonia in 1939, but it is unknown if this is the same Mary. Some adults who were there as children reported having a great childhood, while others reported having a bad childhood.
I wonder if that has
Go
to do
figure.
with that. I wonder if that has to do with those children's skin color.
It's possible. Because I think they took in some refugees too over the years. And Tischler's pretty skeptical of this location actually being haunted, as am I, to be honest. Though 2 separate groups of people have held ceremonies at the location to assist spirits crossing over.
Forgive me for rolling my eyes really big at that.
Yeah, and it's funny because they did the first one, and then like another group came in and did a second one because I guess the first one didn't work.
Well, that
or it
actually
worked and the ghosts came back.
right. You know what's really funny is Greg Newkirk on Twitter posted a thread. Did he write it or did somebody else? There is a thread that Newkirk is involved with on Twitter.
Okay.
That's as far as without looking it up right now, that's as far as I got. That is basically kind of pointing that out, that like some place will be quote unquote haunted and one group will come in and have experiences and then do a kind of ceremony that's supposedly getting these spirits or whatever to the other side, and then like 2 weeks later another group will come in, have experiences as well, and then do another like, oh, this is the definitive ceremony that will get these apparitions over, out of here and at peace or whatever. And it's just like, I kind of roll my eyes at that a little bit, because it's just like, one, you have a lot of gall to come into this place and say that, one, what you're doing is the way to get spirits out of there, and two, that you're assuming that anything that's there, whatever it could be, spirit, elemental, I have no idea, both adheres to what you believe will work, and wants to go along with the plan.
Right. And that's one thing that Krasik kind of points out in the book too, is that while, maybe the first group, it did work, but only the people who wanted to leave left. Maybe only the people who really did need help left. And others just, it didn't work. Maybe they weren't ready to leave, or, there could be a million reasons. Or it was people who genuinely had a good time there and wanted to stay. I think she's the one who felt there was like a protective entity or something around the place. And she figured like, well, that one doesn't want to leave because it wants to continue staying on this land and protecting it. So yeah, I do think it's interesting that there were 2 ceremonies to kind of cleanse the place, and they may or may not have worked.
Right. And there are just so many other factors that go into things. It's just like, how did you guys know that this was the appropriate thing to do in any respect? Right. I don't know. I just roll my eyes a little bit. That's Billick mentions in her book that one woman who snuck into the abandoned building saw a baby carriage roll across the floor on its own, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Other people have heard children crying in the lobby. I just no abandoned orphanages. In the basement, a mysterious green light was seen surrounding a medical table, and lights are seen flitting around the building at night.
Yeah, and of course, there's no word if these continue now that it's essentially been. I don't know if it was raised and built on top. It was not in good shape. When they broke ground, I guess.
Okay.
So who knows if these things are still going on, if they ever went on.
Right.
Because it seems like pretty typical stuff to me. And there is more to this mysterious green light thing in it's in Billick's book, but it's also in Tischler's book. He talks about it, and then it's connected to was it Park Cemetery, the cemetery we mentioned earlier. So when we cover cemeteries, we will be revisiting this story. Because it's weird. I didn't want to get into it now, so you can either go read the book or look it up online, which is cool.
Right. Or wait for our episode.
Or wait for the episode on cemeteries, because there are so dang many haunted cemeteries in Michigan that they're just going to get their own episode.
Or multiple episodes, depending.
Yeah, probably multiple, actually.
It might just be like, we'll sprinkle one here and there. Just
Yeah. Like it got to the point I would be reading about one and go, wait a minute, didn't I already read this? Oh no, that was the other cemetery in the other book. Like, yeah.
oh no, it was just the other cemetery or the other cemetery.
Yeah. There are a lot of tropes, apparently. There's cemetery tropes, haunted cemetery tropes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Can't
Can't wait. Next up, we have a Marquette landmark, the Landmark Inn, that is.
No way.
Ho ho. Reading from the inn's website.
Quote, once known as the Northland Hotel, the Landmark Inn has a history as rich and fascinating as that of Marquette itself. The Northland Hotel was first conceived in June 1916. The foundation was laid in 1920, but the 100-room hotel itself did not open until January 2nd, 1930. From the 1930s through the 1960s, the hotel stood at the epicenter of the downtown Marquette social scene. As the late 1970s arrived, the hotel fell into disrepair before finally closing in 1982. The property underwent a comprehensive renovation in 1995 by Team Landmark, now it makes sense, a company specializing in historic restorations, and reemerged under a new name, the Landmark Inn, to once again reign as the grandest of Marquette's downtown hotels, end quote.
Several famous guests are listed, including Jimmy Stewart, Lee Remick, George C. Scott, Abbott and Costello, Duke Ellington, and Louis Armstrong, and Amelia Earhart is also a former guest, and the room in which she stayed is now named for her.
I want to go stay there.
Yeah, we should definitely check this place out. Maybe that's where we'll stay when we go to Marquette. It is said that her spirit has stopped by from time to time.
Oh,
take that as you will. But the most famous story about the Landmark Inn revolves around a room on the 6th floor known as the Lilac Room. P.S. You can see a video of someone showing you the Lilac Room on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
There's a reason it's called the Lilac Room.
Oh, okay.
It's a little overwhelming. If you like lilacs,
it's great.
Knock yourself out. The ghost that lingers in this room is sometimes called the Lilac Lady. In life, she was a librarian who fell in love with a crewman of an ore boat. Alas, her sweetheart perished, a victim of a Lake Superior storm.
Oh, that's common.
Yeah, I'm like, that is also a trope.
Yep.
When he did not come back to her, the librarian died of a broken heart, and now she haunts the room from which she used to sit and watch her love's return.
Several guests have reported seeing the Lilac Lady wandering the halls of the 6th floor, as well as looking out the window of the Lilac Room. They have also reported hearing a crying woman close to the window, seeing objects move by themselves, and furnishings sometimes look used when the room has in fact been empty. Calls are made to the front desk when no one is staying in the room. The first guest to stay in the room was angry that he had found screws in his bed just under the sheets. No one knew how or why the screws had gotten there. But,
that actually happened twice. They removed the screws, and then he went to go back to bed, and the screws were back in the bed, and they just gave him a different room.
Oh my gosh!
Isn't that weird?
That's so weird.
That's one of the weirdest things I think I've heard. Like, what? Huh?
I have never heard something as weird as screws being found under the sheets.
Under the sheets, yeah.
Of a made bed in a hotel.
How the heck did they get there, and why?
I'm very curious as to the why. Why pick screws?
They were lying around. I don't know.
I guess.
And then it happened again because they changed it, and then he went down to dinner or something.
Right.
And then he came back, and they were there again.
And more screws.
Yeah. So
why screws?
They just gave him a different room rather than repeat.
Oh yeah, no, we're not gonna keep playing this game all night.
Yeah.
That's so strange.
And another man staying in the room next to the Lilac Room complained that whoever was staying there was being too noisy. He called the front desk to complain several times, but nothing was done. When the desk person checked the log, no one was checked into the rooms on either side of his. Rather than tell him that the room was haunted, it was suggested that he change his room. Another guest reported that every night he would close the blinds, but they would be open again in the morning. On the third night of this happening, he tied the cord so the blinds couldn't slip. But it didn't matter. The blinds were open again the next morning. It is also said that men have trouble with their room keys while women can open the door with theirs no problem.
Men, get out.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The noisy room and people complaining when it's when that room is empty is like such a haunted hotel thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Some of these are cliches and some of these are unique, like the
Yeah.
screws.
Like the screws. Another popular story about the Landmark Inn involves a different woman. After her lover discovered that she was not being faithful to him, he murdered her in a fit of jealousy. He then took her body to the basement of the unfinished inn and left her there. The crew that worked to complete this area reported hearing the crying and faint whispers of a woman calling to them for help. Other versions of this story claim the woman was an escort who shared secrets from one client to another, ruining their business deals. Her ending is the same, being killed and buried in the basement.
I find that because you hear these kinds of stories too in buildings a lot. And like, how would the workers not see her?
I don't know. Or like how,
Like, I've always wondered that in movies too, because that's a popular thing in movies and TV shows. Someone gets, buried in the basement covered in cement. Like, how would they not notice?
I don't know. I don't think I know enough about construction.
Maybe someone in the construction business, tell us if this is feasible.
Yes, please.
But that isn't all. These two unfortunate women. There's more. One bartender saw a pair of wine glasses, one by one, slide from their hanging displays and crash to the bar below. It really sounds like every part of this inn is haunted.
I'm like pissed about the last one because man, that sucks for that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, there are more stories about this place. They're all over the internet. They're in, I believe, both of these books. And just what? Like every part of this hotel. I think in one of the urban legends it says the librarian, I don't know why she's a librarian, but she is. She hanged herself in the room.
Oh, great.
And that's why she haunts it. I mostly saw died of a broken heart. So that's the one I kind of went with in the initial telling, but there are several different versions of this. And yeah, like every part of this hotel seems to be haunted.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting place.
Yep, we're staying there.
I'm not staying in the lilac room though, not because it's haunted, but because look at it. There's a theme. The wallpaper is all just covered in lilacs. I think the bedspread and the curtains, it's just lilacs everywhere. And it's an older hotel, so the room's a little bit smaller than maybe you would find in a modern hotel. So I think it would make me feel claustrophobic. I honestly do. With that kind of busy wallpaper. It's very bright and happy and springy, but that's not my seed.
No, mine either, but I think I'll just bring a sleep mask and deal with it.
Yeah. Try the blinds trick.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe that's something that like we'll have to have. Well, I don't think your husband will do it, but mine will. Sleep one night in that room by himself.
Oh yeah, see if,
because it's only men, right? Like women have a perfectly fine time.
Yeah, all of the stories I found that take place in the room happens with men.
Right.
That I saw or that specified.
We'll have Aaron do it.
I mean, Greg does see things, so
that's true.
But he also has long glorious hair, so he might be mistaken.
and I also just kind of assumed like he wouldn't want to because he doesn't seem to have a great time with his experiences.
It's true, he often doesn't.
So I don't want to make him do something that he's not going to enjoy. But Aaron, I don't think would care. So
yeah, and the key card thing, that's an easy one. You're just like, here, use this key. Oh, it's not working. Let me try. Oh, look, it worked. Like,
right. I don't know.
But yeah, and I don't believe either of those stories could be confirmed. Shockingly.
Oh, no way. What?
So who knows what's haunting this place,
right?
Or what's going on here? Yeah, and I think like this area, it's so cold and sort of forbidding in the winter. There's not a whole lot of like Native American history as well, because like they weren't gonna winter up there. They knew better than that.
It's cold.
And that's actually why Marquette is such a young city, comparatively speaking, is because the weather is just awful.
Right.
And in the summer, it's lovely, but the winters are extremely harsh. If you didn't have modern conveniences, you would
You're
have
not
a really hard time.
right. You're not making it. Like it's not a place that you could survive without heat and yeah, all like
Yeah.
you said, modern conveniences. I get it.
Yeah. That does mean it was kind of built on greed, I guess. Hmm.
Well, I don't know, white people.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, yeah, even the French, like, they went through there and they were like,
Nope.
cool, not staying here.
Nope. Get me out.
Yeah. It is a beautiful city. I've been up there once as an adult, and I think probably as a kid as well, and I just don't remember it.
Yeah.
But here is a quick and also popular Marquette urban legend. Marquette is full of urban legends, in case you didn't gather that. Um, we're going to read from Michigan.org's article, 12 Incredibly Haunted Places in the Upper Peninsula, because it's nice and succinct.
Mm-hmm. Quote, once a two-story house, the Marquette Monthly building was constructed in the late 1930s and wasn't purchased by the magazine until the 1990s. The transition from house to publication business was a natural fit, though, as it was discovered that the top floor of the house once operated as a small printing office that produced time cards and delivery notes for the area's train depots. Stories are told to this day about the first print press worker, Beth Ann, who
Oh, I
Bam!
hope not. Oh,
No,
this
Bam!
this doesn't end well.
No, I'm sorry, Bam. Stories are told to this day about the first print press worker, Beth Ann, not of our lovely Bam fame, who lived upstairs and worked the print office when the building was first built. Hers was a dangerous job. What with a daily regimen of loading the large metal printing press with ink, changing out the machine's characters and fonts, handling all print deliveries, and unclogging paper jams. One day, just before the first train was to roll into the depot, Beth Ann's shirt sleeve got caught in the cardstock feeder, and the machine slowly began to inch her arm closer and closer to the letterpress. Since she was the only person in the office, no one heard her blood-curdling screams. That night, Beth Ann's husband came home from work to find his wife lying on the floor next to the printing press, arm missing, covered in her own blood.
Gruesome, right?
Yeah.
And totally fake.
What?
100% fake.
What?
This never happened.
Oh.
But it's a good story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds
And-
like something that would definitely happen back in the day before like OSHA.
Yeah, and I don't have any experience with large printing presses like this, so I couldn't say, if this is likely to have happened or not.
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah.
But yeah, totally fake. And it's
Oh.
very popular. You find this story freaking everywhere. I mean, this was on Michigan.org. So it is
Right.
everywhere. But it was debunked by Tyler Titchler in his book, Haunted Marquette. And Billick adds in her book that the building was a grocery store and a gift shop before becoming the magazine HQ. However, while Beth Ann's story may be fiction, people do believe the place is haunted. So I think this is a situation where, there was activity and then somebody came up with this story.
Right.
Employees of the monthly, plus residents of the third floor apartments, have reported lights turning on and off on their own, objects being moved or thrown by unseen hands, hearing disembodied voices and footsteps. So, your average
Right.
haunting. Ray Labont, a descendant of the building's grocery store owner, is now believed to haunt the building. He's considered either playful or restless, quote, hiding important things, throwing items around the room, pacing upstairs, or messing with the electricity, end quote. One former employee who knew Ray in life said that Ray often joked around with him, and these, quote unquote pranks felt like him. So that's why they think it's Ray.
Okay. I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
Maybe he did want to hang around, or some part of him did, and sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting. Both books do mention it, and they both go into different details.
Okay.
So if you want the whole story, I would say read both books.
I appreciate that both Tishalar and Billick they both debunked it and were like, hey, we're not just going to repeat what everyone says. We're actually going to look
Yeah.
and do
Look
our
into
research
this.
and like publish that this is not true. We're not just going to go with what everybody says, because we
Yeah.
find so often in our books that one book just kind of repeats the book that came before it.
Yep, that happens a lot.
So I just appreciate that these books did not follow suit.
Yeah, both of them did their research. Haunted Marquette, I think, is a little bit longer. Plus the other one is the entire UP. It's not just Marquette.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
So doing this like deep dive into Marquette, it's not a short book. It's actually a quite long book with a lot of stuff. He also does people's homes, which I try not to talk about people's homes too much on here because they
Yeah.
are private residences. I
Right,
don't want
I'm
people
with
to
you.
go, knock on doors, I suppose.
No.
But there's an entire chapter on haunted houses as well in this book. It's a very cool book, and it's full of history. Like, he really does do his research.
Yeah, I think it's going to be added to our permanent collection.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. For our last location, we have another haunted library. Yay!
Like two of my favorite things together in one.
I know. We love haunted libraries. Marquette Public Library Service began in 1871, and after a number of expansions and relocations, the building at 217 North Front Street was built in 1904. The Peter White Public Library has been renovated and expanded at least twice since then. Marquette Arts and Culture Center is also located in the building. Peter White was a local businessman, postmaster, real estate developer, Michigan state legislator, and of course, philanthropist.
He is all over Marquette's history.
And that's just a lot of stuff to do in one lifetime. So good job.
Yeah. Interestingly, one of the most haunted locations is the women's bathroom. Yes, again.
Always.
But it's in the new part of the library, not the old.
Oh.
A psychic who investigated said the name of this spirit is Charlotte. And when asked if she was a voyeur, this is a direct quote, Charlotte answered yes. So
okay. At least she's honest.
Yes. I don't remember if they were doing EVP or if they were doing Spirit Box during that, but yeah. In Haunted Marquette, they get into like the actual investigations and stuff, but I had to cut out so much. He has so much details that this episode would be like 3 times as long.
Right.
So just know that there's a ghost in the women's bathroom in the new part of the library named Charlotte who likes to watch you pee.
Cool.
Charlotte is thought to be from the early 20th century, however, well before this part of the building was constructed. So it is a mystery.
Sure.
Although the psychic Krasik that he interviews in his book says that ghosts will travel. So it could be that she's fascinated by modern technology. I don't know.
Modern peeing, who knows?
Yeah, these newfangled toilets and sinks. I don't know.
The ease in which modern women are able to pee.
Yeah. Yeah, the voyeur is just, what on earth? Okay, ghost.
Could you not, though?
At least she's honest. In another part of the library, the NMU Paranormal Research Team used a spirit box to ask who was there. The box then named each of the researchers present.
Oh, snap. Cool.
Yeah. The team then asked if Peter White was the spirit, and the box said no. Around 1 a.m., all of the team's equipment went out with no explanation. And then the copiers on the first floor suddenly turned on. And after that, the security alarms went off.
Crap.
Like the door ones like we've got.
Yeah.
But everything became resolved because it was about 3 a.m. that they had the spirit box conversation with the ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was through spirit box. I find this interesting because I've often heard of these times referred to as like the witching hour.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up.
Yeah. Do I think this means anything? I don't know. Not particularly. That's just me. But I did find that interesting because it's said a lot, and maybe it means something to our listeners or other people.
Oh, sure.
That 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. is when they got their spirit box interactions, I guess.
Mm-hmm. No, that doesn't happen to mean much to me either, but I'm sure it's important to somebody, and that's totally legit. That's fine.
Yeah. I kind of think that usually there's the activity first and the explanation later, and I think that's where the witching hour comes from.
Oh, right. And isn't, hold on, now I have to look up the witching hour.
Yeah, I've heard it referred to as anything from 12 to like 3 a.m. So
Isn't it because it has something to do with Christianity, doesn't it? Because it's the opposite of something about Jesus. Crap.
or like the opposite of like mass times or something.
The opposite of like the hour in which he died or something?
I don't know, because it's always called the witching hour, but there's like 4 of them. So
Right. Wikipedia says it's the time between 3 and 4 a.m. Oh, in Western Christian tradition, the hour between 3 and 4 a.m. was considered a period of peak supernatural activity. This time is also referred to as the devil's hour due to it being a mocking inversion of the time in which Jesus supposedly died, which was at 3 p.m.
how do they know that he died at 3 p.m.?
I have no idea. I don't know how super old timekeeping works. Or it's the phrase witching hour began at least as early as 1775 in the poem Night and Ode by Reverend Matthew West, though its origins may go further back to 1535, where the Catholic Church prohibited activities during the 3 to 4 a.m. time frame due to emerging fears about witchcraft in Europe. And there's a lot of links in that short paragraph that I am not going to dive into while we're recording.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the later on in the article, it does say that like, some people think it's between 12 and 1, others between sunset and sunrise. Sometimes it's just midnight. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
In other words, I don't know.
I've heard all of these times
Yeah,
referred to, mostly in movies, but
right.
The witching hour is whatever you want it to be.
I'm going to go with yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know.
The fact that they got these, communications between 1 and 3, I think it's coincidence.
I just think that most people happen to ghost hunt at night. So that's when you're going to get the evidence.
Yeah, that's true. So again, the 2 books that I strongly recommend reading if you want to learn more about Marquette and also the UP and its many ghost stories. As I said, more than we've talked about here. Much, much, much more. Those books are Ghosts of Michigan's Upper Peninsula by Jennifer Billick and Haunted Marquette, Ghost Stories from the Queen City by Tyler R. Tischler. Sorry, I'm probably getting your name wrong.
Sorry, sir.
And you can, again, get those books at bookshop.org/shop/hauntedmitten, along with more Haunted Michigan books by mostly Michigan authors, if not exclusively Michigan authors. Every purchase benefits them, this podcast, as well as the independent bookstore of your choice. There is, in fact, as we were discussing earlier, there's one in Marquette if you want to support them. It's Snowbound Books. It's a very cool place. And don't forget to like and review Haunted Mitten so more people find us. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Haunted Mitten.
We are also on Patreon, and no, I won't stop talking about it. $1 a month gets you access to the private Haunted Mitten Discord server, where you can see all of our sweet memes, as well as exclusive Patreon content, including the audio recording of our very first live presentation at Frankenfest Detroit about historic Fort Wayne, and our presentation with the Pinckney Library. And don't forget, we have merch. Check us out at hauntedmitten.store. I will tack on to that. We are definitely open to guest artists. If you have a cool idea for a Haunted Mitten product, just some art, feel free to email us. Let's talk about it.
And if you have a story or want to get in contact about a sponsorship or collaboration, or you have a story you would like to share, you can email us at contacthauntedmitten@gmail.com.
Yay, thank you for saying it so I didn't have to.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah, you're great.
Got you, boo. And you can find me, Krista, at Krista K. Coburn, CrystakCoburn, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well.
And you could find me at all of those places at K Gray Writes, just the letter K, Gray Writes. Yeah, hit us up, yo.
Yeah, definitely.
We like talking to people about stuff. If the more that we can nerd out about haunted things, the more we will.
And we chat on the Discords.
We do. Like I said, go check out our sweet memes.
Yeah. I love finding memes. It's a hobby of mine.
Absolutely. All right. And as always, happy haunting.